And now we are joined by one of the most talked about fighters in Europe at the moment. It's Brett Johns, who's signing to Bellator. Completely came out of left field
definitely.
over the weekend. Brett, an absolute pleasure to talk to you again. Firstly, tell us how this happened. How did you enter free agency and just listen to all the offers and Bellator had a far better one than the UFC, or how did it come together?
Me and my manager, I'm very lucky. We got a really good relationship. A lot of the sort of UK fighters have managers based in the UK. I signed with Brian Butler, Sucker Punch back in, I'd say it was like November, October 2014. And we got a really good relationship. And we had a big chat after the Fight Island and said that what we wanted and he bent over backwards to try and make it happen, you know. So we come into the last fight, went to Fight Island, got the result that we wanted over another Dana White Contender Series contract winner. You know, we fought two this year, Tony Gravely back in January and obviously Montel Jackson in July. The Gravely fight was, you know, he was a tough opponent, wrestler, really good, you know, coming off a few wins, you know. So, but I was happy to fight them sort of guys. And then obviously Montel Jackson's the other side of the bracket then, where he's a tall striker. And, you know, the fight didn't really go to plan in my book. But, you know, I put that down to being with a new team. I put it down to a little bit nervous with the contract side of things. You know, getting a loss there would have been bad for my contract negotiations, but we got the win. And going off that contract, then I think about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, we started speaking about maybe, you know, potential sort of figures. And, you know, like I said, I'm in this game to make a future, but I don't want the yachts, the flash cars. I don't want any of that. I just want to pay for my house I'm living in right now. If I can do it before I'm 30, that's a big thumbs up for me. But I didn't feel like I was getting paid what I deserve. And I'm not saying they should have been paying me, you know, stupid figures, because I wasn't asking for stupid figures. I was asking for the same as what everybody else was getting at the same fights as me. You know, looking at some of the fighters like Song Yadong, Merab Dashvili, them guys have had 7-8 fights in UFC, similar records. I got in the limb and said I fought better guys, you know, fighting people like, you know, Joe Soto, fighting people like Aljamain Sterling, Pedro Munoz, fighting them guys. And I didn't feel like I was getting the right money offer. And after the first lots of negotiation talks, I felt like we were miles away from where we wanted to be, which was unfortunate for me because, you know, I've been honest with this. I've loved fighting in the UFC, but, you know, at the end of the day, I just want to be paid my worth.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I feel like some fighters are even reluctant to do that. You know, Brett, like they aren't actually going and seeking their true value. Are you very happy you've done that now, and it seems like you've got something substantially better than what was offered to you initially with the UFC?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like you know, to be honest, you know, Butler and Mike Hogan from Bellator, it was amazing. Like, you know, the negotiation with Bellator was simple. It was 2 phone calls max and it was done, you know. And the UFC was slightly more difficult, obviously, but we were working things out. And, you know, fighting my last fight of my contract, I had the luxury of speaking to people like Bellator. There was 2 companies involved in the negotiation talks. There was UFC and there was Bellator. That was it. They were the only 2 companies. There was no other companies. So when I spoke to Butler, I said, look, Brian, I don't feel like the UFC are kind of getting what we want out of this. So, you know, Brian spoke to me and said he's got a good relationship with Bellator. You know, like Brian's got fighters like, you know, Douglas Lima. He's got fighters like Emmanuel Sanchez. In the bantamweight division, he's got about 3 or 4 guys there. You know, Ricky Bandejas. He's got Josh Hill, Rafael Stotts, Kevin Lee's brother, Keith Lee. So he's got a lot of fighters there, and he's got a good relationship with them guys. And already I've probably signed. Well, I can't remember when the news came out. I think it was like maybe Friday, sorry. And already it's taken off. And you know, at the end of the day, I've created a CV here where it's very, very difficult to look past someone like me. 17 wins and 2 losses, and it's only now I'm looking at a record and thinking, wow, okay, yeah, I've had that many fights, you know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I know you're very happy with this deal. It sounds fantastic. Is there any part of you though? You know, the only stumbling blocks you got to the UFC were the very top of the food chain, right? Like, I mean, they're the only losses you had. And is there any part of you that's like, shit, I really wanted to get back in there and show those guys again that I'm capable of being in there? Because I truly believe that you absolutely are.
Yeah, like I'll be honest, I'd be in the wrong game if I said I didn't want to, get them losses back. I'd love to fight Aljamain Sterling again, but with a different mentality compared to what I was at there. I've been honest with a lot of people of the past, and I felt like 2018 was mentally a difficult year for me. I felt like I was in a bad place mentally. I think I've never, other than injuries, I've never ever physically felt bad. I'm always training. No matter what I'm doing, I'm always training. But I find it a lot easier and more comfortable when you're mentally happy and when you're training like that with that mental state. Like, I've changed camps now. I'm up with Shaw MMA and doing my little bits with KGB in Patalba as well. I'm working alongside the guys like Jack Shaw, Jack Marshman, who are in the UFC, Orban Elliott, Josh Reed. There's a list of fighters there.
The Welsh Dream Team.
Yeah, and all fairness to Richard Shaw and Carl Parker, they've got a fantastic relationship. Not with one or two fighters, with every single fighter in that gym. They love the coaches there, and when you come into the gym, you can't help but laugh as soon as you leave the door and as soon as you go into it,
Brett, was it easier to make that decision with the strength of Bellator's 135-pound division as well? Because as PT mentioned, some of the names there at the moment, it's really become Killers Rows and one of their standout divisions too.
Yeah, like I haven't signed to this division because I think it's an easier option, because it's really not. It's really not. I think a lot of people might look into that and say that that it's the easier option. Let me tell you one thing: a lot of UFC fighters who come over into Bellator lose their first fights. And I'm looking at that division now, and with the likes of Sergio Pettis, Juan Archuleta, Patchy Mix, James Gallagher, all these guys, Ricky Banderas, Leandro Higo. Like, I've watched all these guys. I've studied these guys since there was talks about us going into this promotion. I've studied everybody at the top of the food chain, because I'm not looking down the food chain. I'm looking up the food chain. I'm looking at the top 5. That's the guys I want to fight, because I truly think I'm one of the best fighters in the world. In all promotions, I really do. Just going out there now and proving it to everybody else. And man, I'm super excited for this move. I really am. And I'm gonna turn a lot of heads. I think with the news coming out, they kind of has gone a bit viral, which I'm happy with at the end of the day. Good news, bad news. You're always being spoken about. And there's a few names in that bantamweight list which I really, really like.
I spoke to the man who broke the news of your signing Ariel Helwani, and he was saying to me, and I didn't even think about it at the time. You're just thinking about possible matchups nearly straight away. But he was like, look at what's happening here with Usman Nurmagomedov, Brett, and as well, I think they signed Kabalov that week. He's like, this is a big thing that's happening here. They're slowly but becoming a real force here in Europe, especially obviously with the European series. But it's so many top quality fighters is what I'm trying to say. Like, do you feel as though Bellator could be in a position to rival UFC, specifically in Europe, with signings like you and Nurmagomedov and Kabalov? Do you think that's what they're trying to do? Attack this front, get this continent as a Bellator continent, so to speak?
I really do think that Bellator were up there anyway. Even before I signed, I really thought they were. At the end of the day, let's just go on about a different division, like that welterweight division in Bellator. In my opinion, it's just as good, if not better, than the welterweight division in the UFC. It's just my opinion on it. There's loads of different fighters there who do really well in the UFC. Like, look, don't get me wrong, I'm a big Michael Chandler fan. Like, I'm really interested and intrigued to see how Michael Chandler does in that UFC lightweight division. I'm really intrigued to see what he does, And there's been great fighters come from Bellator, and I'm really honoured, firstly, to be mentioned with the top guys in not in the division, but in the company, But like I said, I've been through the wars, I've been in the trenches, and I know what it's like to be in them fights. And looking at it, I think personally it's a good signing for me. but personally, I think it's a good sign for Bellator. I'm 28 years old. I'm still young in the game, you know, and I think it's a fantastic move for Bellator, signing all these top guys, and they're making big noises anyway. But now they just seem to be getting better and better, and they've got the right people on board, the right guys leading the way, and I'm just honoured to be a part of this movement.
Brett, have you been given any guarantees in that contract? Obviously, you mentioned all the names there, top 5, and everyone's sort of seeing you as one of those guys that's going to compete for the title in the next year. PT mentioned the European market too. I believe they're going to try and push you in the US because of your name. What's the guarantees? Has there been anything put in stone in the contract about how you're going to fight and where?
Yeah, nothing yet. But me and Bellator have obviously spoken about setting up my visa. I got no problem with admitting that, you know. So I totally agree. I think they are going to be looking to put me in America, and if I'm completely honest, I'm happy with that. You know, like I said, I love the States. I fought there a few times in my career. Don't get me wrong; it's going to be really nice to come back to the UK or Ireland to fight. That would be so nice. But for the minute, they seem to. It looks like, from my point of view, that they want to keep me busy in America, and I'm happy to do that. You know, at the end of the day, I love where they go with the fights as well. Like Milan is great, you know, Paris this weekend, and you know, all over the place really. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see what they're going to be doing. I can see, if I had a guess, now I really don't know, but if I had a guess, my first fight will probably be in the Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut. If you want me to guess,
don't be just guessing, Brett. I know you already know.
Don't be lying to us.
You already know. Look at you.
No, I really don't know. But until they accept my visa, then I don't know what's going on. So at the minute, though, I was expecting to fight the 7th of November against Roani Barcelos in Las Vegas. You know, like since quarantine, I think a lot of fighters, they could have gone one way or another. You either take the quarantine time to relax, chill out, you know, put a bit of weight on, just, you know, get over your injuries, or you do option 2, which was change your body. And I chose option 2. You know, I used to walk around at 165. You know, I should be fighting 135 pounds, and I'm walking around at 165. You know, some bantamweight fighters go to 170. I know. I do speak a lot with Cal Eleanor. Before even announcing the Bellator move, I spoke a lot with him. Me and him are very similar with weights. Sometimes, you know, if we're not careful, we'll go up to that 170 mark. So I've spent this time in quarantine, you know, changing my body and changing it for the better. Right now, woke up this morning 152, so that just proves
cool.
I'm ready to go, really, you know.
A lot of people, right? We got to ask you. Let's stir the pot here a bit, Brett. Okay, a lot of people.
Let's stir the pot. Let's get it stirred.
A lot of people after Saturday night. You mentioned Cal Eleanor there, and I know you already know what I'm going to ask you, but a lot of people are like, no questions. It's got to be Brett Johns and James Gallagher next. I'm sure you are inundated with mentions and what have you. Obviously, a stunning performance from Gallagher on Saturday night. How do you feel about that fight? Do you think that's the type of fight Bellator will want to make, given that they obviously want to push you out because, you know, you're a big star signing, but James is a star guy already for them. It seems unlikely that they put you together. But is that a fight that you would be intrigued by if it was to cross your table, so to speak?
You're gonna laugh at this, but I'm not interested whatsoever at the minute. I'm really not. I think that if me and James Gallagher fought, why on earth would you want to do it through this coronavirus pandemic?
Yeah.
Why not stick this in the middle of the 3 Arena in Dublin when people are allowed back in? You know, to be honest, going off his performance on Saturday, I thought he looked absolutely fantastic. You know, I think a lot of people forget that Cal Eleanor is an outstanding grappler. Is a really good grappler, and the way, you know, he took Cal's back and, you know, took his time. I thought personally that Cal was going to survive that first round, but, you know, James got in there and got that rear-naked choke victory. But he looked really good. He looked really good in there. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and say that he looked bad when he really didn't. And James is super young in this game, you know, and a young stud in the game is very, very dangerous. And I think he's learnt a lot in his career. He has learnt a lot. Like, you can see him maturing as a fighter. Maybe he's not as brash and as vocal as he usually is, but he's still pulling in victories out the bag.
PT, I totally agree about the 3 Arena thing. That would be unbelievable,
oh my God.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm very excited.
My appetite's getting wet now, 100% with that. But, you know, looking at James yourself, even though you said there, do you think, you know, it's time Bellator are going to sort of put him up to the bigger names next after the win over Cal at the weekend, and maybe in the fashion in which he did it?
Like, if you ask, if I was playing matchmaker, like I said, even before signing to this company, I look at all sorts of scenes. I look at all sorts of scenarios. I watch Bellator, I watch ONE FC, I watch all sorts. If I had to play matchmaker, I think a good fight for Gallagher now would be Patchy Mix. I think coming off that title fight with Juan Archuleta, that would be really good. I think it's a very winnable fight for him. Like, don't get me wrong, Patch Mix is a top contender, but styles make fights, and I probably favour that fight for Gallagher. If I was sort of Gallagher's management, I'd be aiming for that Patchy Mix fight, because a win over that guy would put him in the right spot, And they're very similar records. I think Patchy Mix is 13-1. Gallagher is 11-1. Both coming off. They're probably the biggest fights in their career, and obviously Patchy Mix has probably learned a lot from that fight, and obviously, Gallagher probably winning the biggest fight of his career. I see it being a good fight for both guys, and, like I said, Patchy Mix is going to want to get back into that title picture, and James Gallagher's going to want to get into that picture as well. I feel like at the minute, James is probably a victory or two away from that, but I do generally feel like that, Patchy Mix would be a good fight for James. Myself, I'm looking to fight whoever they want me to fight in November, but I have a name in mind.
Oh, yes, that's what
we want to hear. That's what we want to hear.
I have a name, but not well, whatever they say. At the end of the day, I'm a company man. They, UFC used to give me names, and I'd just say yes and sign the contract. There's no in my fighting thing. Every single guy in that Bellator division, if their name was in front of me, I'd bite their hand off for it. It doesn't matter, but I'd like to get a fight at, if I had my own way, I'd like to take a category fight at 140 in November. Then after that, in the spring, me and a UFC veteran, Sergio Pettis, to fight. But that's what I want. But whether or not they want to, obviously with the Bellator banner wanting to do that, then it's up to them. But if you ask my way and the way I see it, I'd like to maybe fight in November and then get the Sergio Pettis fight in the spring, because looking at the whole picture, I'm interested in names and legacies, and I've always been a massive fan of Duke Rufus and his team in Milwaukee, and Sergio Pettis is a name who was in the bantamweight division in the UFC for a while. I know he was mostly a flyweight, but fought good guys at bantamweight. And I'm sure he's the same. He wants to fight the best guys that he can. And I'm happy to step in that place. I think we're both there in our careers. I'm 17-2. I think Sergio's 20-5. That's a good fight to set up. But then maybe, the winner out of Sergio and myself could fight, Juan Archuleta for the belt. But that would completely and utterly depend on what happens in November this year.
100%. I love that.
There is whispers though that Sergio is going to be getting Juan next. Would there be anyone else that would tickle your fancy if that's the case?
Title shot for the debut, Brett. What?
Yeah, maybe. Stupider things have happened.
Oh, no, I think you deserve it.
No, totally.
But I just know they're going to want to introduce it to the audience first.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Yeah. No. I like. Don't get me wrong. I've actually stepped into a promotion, Titan FC, and I'm fought for a world title straight off the bat. But I am a true believer that you've got to kind of earn your spot a little bit, even though I've got the CV I've got and I'm involved in that title picture. I still feel like there is there's a few fights there before the belt. But if Sergio's fighting Juan Archuleta for the belt next, then so be it. At the end of the day, depending on when that fight happens, maybe I still want to fight Sergio no matter what. At the end of the day, I want to fight. I want to fight Juan Archuleta eventually. So, whether I fight in November and he gets a fight maybe later on in this year, then maybe we still do in the spring, depending on what happens. But I'm interested. There's a lot of good fights in that division, a lot of tough fights. I'm not coming into this division thinking it's going to be a walkover, because it's really not. And but that excites me. That really does excite me,
It excites me too. It's
a cracking fight, man.
I wanted to ask you though, right? Because Jack Shore, as we know, a tremendous talent from Wales, and I think all of you guys collectively are making it nearly like the way Ireland was when McGregor first launched. It kind of feels like that kind of, the fans are absolutely mental. They just need the right stadium or the venue there so UFC and Bellator can get over there. But, you're working with Richard. And obviously we've seen Jack fight, but it's always been pretty much one-way traffic with Jack Shore in his fights. How good is this kid? How good is he?
Do you know, like, people go on about, like, obviously, you know, I've been the top of this European bantamweight tree for a very, very long time. And I'm honest, if a guy comes along and kicks my ass and takes me off the top spot, then I'll shake their hand and get on with it. But Jack does that on a daily basis with me. You know, he's a very special guy, and his skill set is very good. But I think better than anything else is his fight IQ, winning rounds, winning fights. And you know, like everybody said, they haven't seen him in trouble, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But he's in trouble in the gym, and the guy can just walk on water. Sometimes he really can. And man, he is special. Like, I know it's easy for a teammate to say, but you know, me and him, the scrambles we have. I'm not sure if you watch clips of Michael Chandler and Usman grapple each other in hard knocks, and there's crazy scrambles. But me and Jack are like that. But me and Jack are 10 times better.
Ooh, a bit of shade there, Brett.
Oh, if Michael Chandler wants to catch weight, I don't mind.
Let's do it.
Have you ever seen pictures of his haircut when he was a teenager?
Who, Chandler?
No, Jack Shore.
All right.
Yes.
That is unbelievable, isn't it?
He looks like Charlie from Busted.
Busted, Jesus, that's a blast from the past. Holy God.
Perfect.
Your new walkout music, yeah? Busted.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's what I go to school for.
Listen, we better leave this man and let him get back to his deadline day watch and see if the Jack Swansea sign anyone, Pete.
Yeah, tell us who do you think.
I doubt it.
Who do you think is the biggest signing going to happen today? What do you reckon?
What's your prediction? Biggest signing?
I don't. It's hard, really. You know, I don't see us signing. You know, Swansea like to take a few loans on. You know, but you know, someone like. Mind you, we still got Andre Ayew, so Ayew's still there, and he's a massive part of the club. So I think even if we don't sign nobody today, it's not the end of the world for us. We got a good squad there with a couple of Welsh internationals playing, Joe Rodan, Conor Roberts, Ben Cabango. You know, there's loads of different guys there. But I'm confident this season. We're doing really well. A win over Millwall on Saturday was a good win. So we'll see what happens.
Always good to beat Millwall, isn't it?
Oh,
always good to beat those boys.
Especially in the Den. I've never felt fear before. Never mind Pedro Munoz in the third round. You want to be going to the Den and watching football.
Yeah. I passed by the Den a few times. I've been down in East London watching some matches. Not the prettiest or nicest place on the planet. But any nights out planned with Ollie McBurney? You're a good pal now?
Yeah, I think after the next fight, then obviously with the restrictions being lifted, maybe I'll go up to Sheffield and we'll have a night out after the first Bellator win.
Is he still allowed in the away section? You were the one who brought him in, weren't you?
I'm more quiet about Ollie McBurney than I am with my own career. So I got to be careful what I say, you know.
I'm joking. Listen, Brett, absolute pleasure, mate. Appreciate the time.
Congratulations.
Hey.
Look at this. Since 2018, and now you're in 2020, the year when everyone's career has been absolutely fucked, and you're here making a killing. Well done, man.
Congratulations.
I'm laughing. I'm smiling. I'm laughing, and this is only just the start. So, boys, thank you very much.
Legend.
And anyone can get it to continues with Bellator 2020.
and Millwall away. Appreciate it, Brett.
All the best.
Thank you, boys. Thank you. Cheers.
Hello, guys. If you want to hear more of The Bash, you can subscribe to us on all our wonderful channels on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and all that other shit.
And click the links below. Click the links below, the notification button. It comes straight to your phone if we've any fresh content. And also hit the subscribe button. It does help. You're some plonker.
It's very serious.